Hey there.
Happy Friday.
It's not Friday.
Feels like Friday.
SeAnDawn here. SeAnDawn here. All right, we were just talking about our lineup here. Like, how the hell are we going to get through all this? It's kind of it's actually not that bad. It's just a lot of back and forth. So let's talk about the lineup today. Practical stuff today. Yeah, today we're sticking to practical stuff. So first, we're going to talk about a gear review. But part of that gear review is callus care, right? We'll talk a lot about that and show you little things of how that works. We're going to talk about a friend-free week starting there, athlete birthdays, featured athlete, and then how to get a hold of us, right?
Right on.
So before we get into the callus care, and we'll talk about that, let's just do a gear conversation. Then we're going to do a live, I guess it's not live.
Demo.
We're going to do a recorded demo.
Live?
It's not, well, it's live right now.
There's a camera and there's us.
Yep, there you go. It is us.
We're
so
live.
let's talk about gear. So there's been a lot of people are like, what do I need to work out? You know, what do I need? Technically, we just need you to show up, right?
Mm-hmm. New people ask us all the time, what do I need? What kind of shoes should I get? What kind of stuff do I need? I see everyone wearing these certain things. What do I need?
So I have, and all the coaches have a basket upstairs, and I've emptied most of mine to the floor here. And we're just going to pull things out and talk about maybe this, maybe other options for you, maybe why you need this type of thing.
Accessories.
So first, a good cross-training shoe. Now, with shoes, there's a lot out there, obviously, but we would strongly suggest that you get one that has a minimal rise. So this one here is more flat to the ground, right? And it doesn't really give you an elevated heel like mini shoes do. So like
it's firm.
Firm, yeah. So like
there's no cushion.
What are like some of the really famous running shoes out there? You have a couple.
Every brand has a big cushion.
They have that big
Brooks
cushion.
And
Brooks, thank you. Yeah.
Hoka.
And so those aren't really that great for cross training and weightlifting, just because it puts you in a different position and it has cushion. Because
it's hard for you to feel the ground.
Yeah, and there is a shoe that we'll get to here that does have a heel, but it's not cushioned, and that's the difference there.
Right.
So common here, Noble. People love Noble. I'm back as a fan of Noble. Before I've had a couple pairs where I was having the insole slide up on me. It has a narrow toe box. Really good for rope climbing and stuff like that. If you do it, locks in really well. What are some of the other ones that are?
Your big names are Noble, Reebok, and Nike for the CrossFit world. Innovate has a cross trainer that a lot of people like as well in the CrossFit world. But those are your three big contenders, and they're not cheap. You're gonna spend $120 to $150 probably on a decent cross training shoe.
Out of those, which do you feel has the biggest toe box? Like if you're someone that has likes your toes out.
I think it depends on the foot. So I'm not a big fan of Nike, even though I like how they look. But every time I've tried them, they feel weird on my feet.
I feel like the Reeboks have like a little bit wider toe box.
I like the Noble and the Reebok, but I don't know. It's one of those things you just have to try and see what your feet like.
So in comparison, here's another shoe. It's a lifter. Now,
it's a weightlifting
It's a weightlifting shoe. It does have a heel. It elevates you up here, and it's rigid. It's flat. Now, first off, do you need this if you're weightlifting? Hell no.
If you're brand new and you're just learning lifts, you do not need
You don't need this. Now, one famous CrossFit athlete who I have a man crush on, Cody Anderson, I'll post him over here, right? That guy goes to the CrossFit Games, and pound per pound, he's probably the strongest guy out there. I mean, he's a little guy and a really gifted Olympic lifter.
Back when he used to compete.
Back when he used to compete. And he would do that in his cross trainers. I think he uses Nike and all that. But you see everyone putting these on, so like people like snatch and clean and jerk. I say the only people that should even consider this is if you're really dedicated to focusing on Olympic lifts, or potentially if you have really tight hamstrings or glutes, and in that case, rising your heel a little bit helps you in squatting, but it's not an all-purpose shoe.
Right.
It's very limited.
And they're expensive. They're going to be a couple $100. So don't waste the money and don't spend the money unless, like you said, you're super dedicated to lifting. And you're lifting and those higher percentages where you're going to notice a difference.
Correct. Because we can raise the heel a bit. Like when I said, like, hey, if you have those tight hamstrings, this might help. But there's a way of doing that with just this, right? So we
put a little plate under there.
Yeah, Dawn and I, like when we coach our athletes, we see they have that imbalance, we'll put like a pair of metal 5-pound plates under, and it gives them that, and they step back to it.
It's a poor man lifter.
Poor man lifter.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works really well, in fact. Next up, let's look at this, wrist wraps.
Wrist wraps.
Okay, so
lots of different kinds.
Lots of kinds.
You can buy this style, or there's just the basic Velcro style.
Wrist wraps, right?
Nothing fancy. These are cheap. If you're gonna get anything, buy these. They're like $10.
But I would say I haven't worn my wrist wraps in a long time, and all you people watching this and going, I wear my wrist wraps, Sean. I think this is dumb that you're saying that. I think that these are an aid, and they can sometimes cause more issues than they're helping.
Yeah.
First off, we should have a strong wrist, right? What are some of the issues that you see?
I like recommending these occasionally for new people. Like, was working with an athlete this morning who has like carpal tunnel in her one wrist from her job. And so that overuse injury that we see a lot. And so obviously the front rack position for her, especially on that one side, is extremely painful. So sometimes using the wrap as compression during that lift to just really add some extra tension there can help it feel a little bit more comfortable. But also just people who are really struggling with this front rack in the beginning, working through it, sometimes just adding that extra tension can help, but it's not going to fix it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be working on that mobility and doing all the drills, all the things that we teach you in class.
What I see oftentimes is if you are going to wear wrist wraps, you better have a good front rack position. Because if you don't and you put that wrist wrap on, now you can't even get back further. So if you can't get your elbows really far forward at all right now, and then we put that wrist wrap on, now we really can't get out there, or before you can get your wrist back. So be careful with those. I would say, and don't wear them all the time if you are someone. You do want to have good, strong wrists,
Once
right?
again, I would say they're probably intended for more of your serious athlete who is lifting in the really high percentages or doing a lot of volume. And
when we say a lot of volume, you're averaging 2.5 hours a day, 5 days a week is a lot of volume, right? That would
Not many people fall in that category.
Very few people fall in that. Gloves. This is a common one that people talk about. I've had these gloves for a long time, and I hardly ever wear them. I only wear them if it's like my hands are almost injured or something like that, and we'll talk about how that could be with callus care. And I think you should have really strong hands and avoid gloves at all costs. Now, that said, there are certain professions out there who you mentioned, like some massage therapists or something like that. Maybe you're a hand model with Joey, right? Maybe that's it. That's your career. Well, maybe then you wear gloves. But I don't think often you should.
Some people I know like them for the ropes. But it's like even a cheap pair of gardening gloves
would work well.
It's really all you need for the rope. It's just to help when you come down, not tear your skin off your hands if you are not so good with the control part yet.
And I didn't bring this up here because it's not down in this spot, but we use liquid chalk, right? So instead of gloves for grip, we have liquid chalk that we put on our palms and let it dry.
Right.
Gives our grip strength, right?
That,
So that might be a better option, right, first.
Do you need gloves though?
No. Wrist wraps. So these are grips that also help for people that have a lot of volume. This is more of a volume accessory.
Yes.
Now I would say this is better than this, right? For sure. If you're not trying to pick between them, I'm not such a huge fan for myself. You don't ever wear them.
I don't like grips or gloves or wraps. I really don't hardly use any accessories anymore, but I don't like any fabric between my hand and the bar or whatever I'm doing. Like, I feel like my palm is probably smaller across, and so I feel like anything I add, it affects my grip.
I agree. And some people actually, a lot of games athletes are crazy with these. I got these on the
However, if you were doing 100 pull-ups and 100 of these other things, you know, at some point they have to use them just to save their skin.
Exactly.
With high rep movement.
So there's only so much callus care you can do if you're doing a high volume training. So that's how it goes. And what Dom is talking about is if you see like there's a bar and it comes through like that, oftentimes this gets like a little bubble in it a little bit, and I find that a little more annoying than actually.
Or it can affect your grip, just hanging on. Yeah.
So this is high grip training. So if you're someone that's in that 2.5 hours and you're doing upwards of, 100 plus pull-ups a week, if not more than that, and ring work.
Maybe it's a Murphy workout where you have a lot of pull-ups in the workout, and you know that typically, after 60, 75 reps, you tear.
Music's up.
So if you have 100 reps, you're going to want to use those. Do you need them for your average 1 hour workout? No.
No. So you're seeing a common theme here, right? All right, knee sleeves. So I think these are some...
I would say of all the accessories, this is probably the starting point for people.
I would think so too.
It can help just about anybody.
So knee sleeve adds compression to a joint. You can get them on your elbows and stuff, but what we commonly see is the knee here. And there's 5 mil and 7 mil, right?
Usually, yeah.
And so
some companies even make a 9, but...
This is a 5 mil. It's
centimeters.
It's
not mils.
Oh, it's 5 centimeters?
There's no volume.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. But I like this actually a lot. I don't wear mine very often. Right now I'm trying to rehab my knee, and so I'm trying to do it naturally a little bit without compression so I can listen to my body. But these usually, you'll see people with them down around their ankles, and when they squat, they pull them up, right? And it's just like when you're an old person, they move to the warm states because their joints hurt. I mean, that's really what this does. It heats up the joint.
It adds heat and compression.
Yeah.
So it increases the blood flow and helps with that. So like Sean was saying, you'll see when you go to purchase them that it comes usually 2 sizes. So 5 centimeters is usually what we recommend for just general weightlifting and Metcons. If you tend to do a lot more volume of lifting, like the 7 millimeter or centimeter might be okay. But it's not going to be your everyday sleeve.
Not at all.
It's too tight, too compressive. So the 5 is basically what you need. And the measuring is really important. The sizing is weird, you'll notice. So definitely follow their measuring and do exactly how they size it, and then you should be able to get the right size.
I think, and you're welcome to try ours on if you're interested in this. I think I always buy a size down than what they recommend for me. So this is a large that I wear because it just adds a little more compression.
They will stretch out too the more you use them.
They will. What we didn't talk about, this is like an old one, my 7 mil, and so this is another good thing with knee sleeves. They do make rope climbing sleeves. I don't have one in my basket because they're in your basket.
Like a shin guard.
Like a little shin guard. But I often use this, and this is what I use for rope climbs. And if you imagine my foot down here, and it's on my lock foot, and this sits down like so, and as I'm going up, this part is where the rope's pinching in. So I like the 7 centimeter, because it adds extra cushion for that rope as I'm climbing, and when I come down, it's easy down. So I only need 1 because it's my locking foot. Boy, these things stink. We gotta get these things washed. So there's that. Now the next thing that I think is probably the next most important thing to consider is a weight belt. But let's talk about what a weight belt's really supposed to do. So a weight belt is supposed to allow you to brace. So if you're in a CrossFit class and you are lifting weights, it is to allow you to push out against in your stomach. Some people just strap this thing on and they're like, just go really tight, and then they just squat or do whatever their movement is. That is the wrong way to do it. You are actually pushing against yourself. So if you're sitting down or standing up right now and you have a belt on, if you push out like you're trying to pee or like hold a pee or something like that, that is what bracing is. So you use this as a bracing aid to keep the spine in line.
Yeah.
So you're not just tightening the belt, you're actually actively pushing out against the belt the entire time you're moving. And most people fail to do that.
Yeah, well, you're gonna take a deep breath, tighten your belt, and then release, exhale.
Yep.
And then that puts you in that bracing position. And then using it properly when you actually have it on.
But you are actively, like I can make this really tight and not brace. I'm actively pushing my belly against it,
Absolutely.
Which is making that space around my spinal cord tight. So as I'm squatting down through movement, like especially really heavy loads for me, right? That's gonna keep me safer, and likely my spine doesn't slip out a little bit, like my coccyx will come down a little bit and maybe will tail out. This will help prevent that. Doesn't mean it will stop it, because you have to be in control your body. So these are really good too. I can't remember if this is like a 4-inch wide. They make a straight one. They make one a little with this pad. I've had this for a long time. It's getting a little old. You do have to replace them every couple of years because your Velcro will start to wear out. 2-pood makes a good one, right?
So an issue that we see often with the belt is that not only are people not using it correctly or for the right purpose, but it tends to become a crutch. So anytime they squat, anytime they deadlift, whether it's 50 pounds or 350, they grab the belt and they put it on. And so often what happens is all they're doing is they have a low back issue or injury, and they're just tightening that belt on to use as, compression while they're doing the movement. So that's not necessarily the right purpose for it. Often that's just masking your injury, and you're not dealing with, the issue of why your back's hurting or whatever it might be. So, often we'll see athletes kind of push through things and they're like, well, I just pull the belt tight and that'll, keep me safe and allow me to squat. So keep in mind that, it's really meant for a heavy lift, not just as a wear it every time I'm using my back.
Correct,
You need to strengthen those back muscles, maybe with a lighter weight, and not always just fall back on those crutches. And that kind of falls in line with all of the accessories, right? So if you're someone that feels like you can't work out without your special chalk and your wraps and your special shoes and your belt and all of the things, and now we can work out, now I'm going to have a good workout. Like, I would say challenge yourself to do some workouts, maybe pick one a week where you're going to go completely unassisted. Like, that actually makes you really pay attention to your technique. So try going up and down the rope and not wear all your things.
Absolutely.
Go a little slower and try to keep the rope, challenge yourself to keep the rope off your legs. So those are some little things to try. Don't get so stuck on them that you can't work out without anything. Like, if you forgot everything, you could still be working out.
The best. Hardly any of you should ever have a weighted vest. In fact, it's a pet peeve of ours, right? Is that you do half movements. If you struggle with an air squat or depth of an air squat, throwing a weighted vest on, you shouldn't be doing any of that.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. You're not hitting the full movement, right? So a lot of people during Murphy and those things are like, I'm going to grab a weighted vest. And it's like, why? Your movements don't dictate the need for that. If you are a very experienced athlete that's hitting the points of performance consistently, then it might be a good option to go. And points of performance are the range of the motion and the technique and all that. It's not really necessarily the technique, but it's the range of motion that you're hitting all that, and you're doing it properly and safely, and you're at adequate volumes that, like, you're lifting heavier weights, then maybe. But it's something that you sprinkle in usually with endurance style training, longer metcons that are like longer than 20 minutes. That's usually when you see the vest come in air squats and burpees and push-ups and stuff like that. But it's not needed for most people.
No.
Not at all. All right, I think that's the major gear review. There's some other gear out there, and if you're questioning about something, ask us.
Ask your coach.
I think first thing, good shoe.
Yeah.
Maybe knee sleeves, maybe a belt. The other stuff, you maybe, right? If it fits your need and based on what we said, okay.
Right. But if you have healthy, strong knees, I wouldn't say you necessarily need knee sleeves.
I would say no.
So.
All right, so let's talk about callus care. So let me just tell you my little thing first that I know about, and then Dawn's the real expert on this. So one thing is, you want to do it with really dry hands, right? So if you just wash your hands, like,
just had a shower, it's not going to work.
You put on lotion, not going to work, right? So I find the best time to do it for me is right when I get up before I brush my teeth, because if I brush my teeth, rinse my mouth out, right? And now my hands are wet. Dawn goes in, she probably has to do hers more after she gets home because she goes in and does her contacts. She has to be able to see first, and she has to get her hands wet before she does all that. I think you typically do yours usually in the morning when you're doing it.
Just whenever.
So, with that, let's talk about what the callus should look like. You go with that. Like how your hands should be. Did you already shave yours?
No.
Oh, okay.
But a couple weeks ago, they're not bad right now. So
my hands are bad.
people ask us all the time, this comes up all the time, or we'll have an athlete who tears in a workout or whatever, and then that big callus rips off. So it's important as you get going with barbell work and hanging work and whatnot that you start to keep your calluses cared for. There's a few ways to do it, but basically you want that callus to build up, but then you want to shave it down so it's so it's level with your hand, basically. So there's still a callus there, but it's not raised up.
Yeah, so
when it raises up and dries out, that's when that big thing tears off. I'm
going to try to show you here. I'm going to focus on that callus right here next, and then I'm going to have Dawn focus on this one. So if you can see how that's high and dirty, and a lot of you would look at that and say, that hand looks good. We see some of your hands are like, holy crap.
Some of them look terrible out there. So this is the callus shaver that we like. And Sean can post a link on our video, but we buy these at Walgreens. They're pretty cheap.
I think we can get them from Amazon.
It also has replacement blades, so the blades do get cheaper, or get dulled, and you'll swap them out.
So I'm going to shave that callus down, and sometimes you need a super friend. And
if for where your wedding ring sits, a lot of times that gets a little higher because often you'll wear the ring.
I'll show you how we do it.
So sometimes you need a friend so that he can hold back, and then I can get this angle. And it's not attractive.
It's not.
It's kind of disgusting. You get a nice little pile of skin.
And she is pulling hard there on my calluses now.
So it's not going to cut you because this safety thing keeps it at the level of your skin. It's just going to take off what's raised.
And don't dump the skin on this, show them.
Okay, so that's just 2 calluses.
So let's see here.
That is a big pile of gross skin.
You can kind of see the skin there. Yeah, gross. But now let's look at my hands, right? What Dawn was saying there is that I still have that tough skin. So I still have the callus that I need. So now I'm not going to tear. But when that callus is balled up and I start doing movements, that's when I rip, and I rip it all the way down. So this is where I need to be. And I would say you should be about every 2 weeks, depending on how well you're training. That you just
how much barbell work you've had, but you'll notice they get higher at sometimes.
Yeah, if we're doing a lot of pulling, you're going to see your hands get. So our ladies in the ladies lift, don't wear the gloves. Get the calluses. You want the calluses.
You need the calluses.
You need the calluses.
Let them build up and then shave them down and keep them low to the skin.
Yeah.
There are some other options out there. I don't think they're as good. So
I don't either.
A lot of you have those little egg shaver things. Some of them have batteries and whatnot. That's like a big loofah. So it's just gonna mutilate and knock down all the skin. These are way better, way faster.
You see how this has a cheese grater on it? We never use it because we take them off clean from it, and it flattens it down, and it just works. It's
fast and easy. You can do both your hands in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, if I find with that grater, you're there the entire time, and then it's all this. It's like sandpaper. You didn't really smooth it out. It's kind of like it's got dimples from the grate.
Yep.
So the shaver's the best. I'll post a link in the bottom.
We're not sponsored.
We are not sponsored. Okay, Wildcard here before we get on to the free week. Dawn is working with Holly. Where'd that one go?
It's right there. I'm staring right at it.
Which one? Oh, here it is. Dawn is working with Holly on our fall lineup for SK. Now, this is a really high-end Carhartt hoodie that they have a great idea. It's going to be understated logo up here.
It's a quarter zip. Yeah, this is water resistant, very heavy, more of a jacket.
Yep.
So it'd be a great Christmas gift idea option. They'll be priced at $75, $80, right at what Swain sells them for. We might sell them just a couple bucks cheaper.
We're going to try to be $5 less than Swain's with our logo
Maybe
on it.
We should check and see what Swain's is selling them for first.
Yeah,
before we say
we're going to try to be. We don't know, right? We got to have a little skin in the game here. But these will be special order. We won't have a size.
Special order only.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you're not sure what size, I'd say go to Swain's and try one on.
Yep.
But they come in 3 colors: black, gray, and navy. So you'll have that coming up, and then some new colors like Sean was talking about too coming. So
that's exciting.
Yes.
So all right.
Yeah. Birthdays.
Not birthdays. Friend Free Week. Let's talk about what Friend Free Week's going to look like October 18th, right? So this is an opportunity that you can bring up to 2 friends, right?
2
friends. that can come to all our classes. And if you're a 3-day member during this week, you can go to Pulse. So maybe you want to show them Pulse and some open gym time. That's okay. So
any class you can go to.
that you can go to, or they can come to. This is not a friend-free week where you just say, hey, Susie, you want to go down to Storm King for free. They have to be with you. Now, if they sign up after a week, the following Monday, which I don't know what it is, but the following Monday, by that time, if they decide to sign up, you get 20% off your next membership. If you brought 2 friends, you get 40% off your next membership, right? That's if they sign up. If they just had a good time and said, not for me, cool. You just had your friend here for a week. We only plan on doing this time, no more this year. We won't have a free Friday or anything like that. It's the one opportunity. And so we're trying to give you enough time right now to figure out if this is something you're interested in. If you've had friends on the fence,
yep.
You have, I think it's about 3 weeks now from by the time this will post, or maybe 2.5 weeks, to kind of chirp at them and see what it is. We'll get other details operationally how this is going to work, basically paper waivers and stuff like that.
But watch Mighty Network.
Yeah, and we'll put that all out there.
Yeah.
So that we're excited about that.
Yes.
And hopefully we can get some more faces in here.
Yes.
Right. All right. Let's talk about athlete birthdays. Who do we have?
Birthdays. Nick Dosty, Tony Ball, and Myra Walker.
Yeah, all great
birthday,
people.
guys.
Yeah, happy birthday. Featured athlete?
Featured athlete is Mario Salgado. If you don't know Mario, you should. He's super nice.
He's super nice.
He's a good guy. He comes in the mornings. He's been with us for a few years.
Yeah. Apparently he makes a mean paella, you tell him. Yeah, I'm really
Mario is quite a chef.
Mario,
So if
I'm
you
just
didn't know
telling
that
you.
about Mario, ask him to bring you some of his cooking sometime.
Yeah, Mario, I like some paella.
Really delicious.
I would like that, buddy. Happy birthday to me. It's coming up in a couple weeks. Okay. And then finally, if you're trying to get a hold of us, you go to our website, Storm King Athletic Club. You look in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to have that free intro. Whether you're an athlete trying to set a goal or you're a new person, this is what you click on. You click on the right category, schedule your time. You can then get to come up here and meet with amazing Dawn. And if you like what you hear, maybe you sign up. All right. With that, have a great Friday.
Weekend,
have a great
guys.
weekend. And we love
next
seeing
week.
everyone get back in the gym.